Welcome to the fourth installment of the Remington Sportsman 58. Once again, here is our dogged circa 1956 fore-end ring washer to now be replaced by Terry the eBay guy's brand new, shiny, beautiful looking neoprene fore-end ring washer. Let's install it and check it out. Mill Serp Garage. So yes, we have Remington Model 58 back on the table. What we're going to do is we're going to get back in here again. Is this thing too tight again? Okay, that has to be snug. Somebody had told me there's a certain kind of pliers. I forgot what they're called now, but I had a pair of those. They have, what do you call it? Plastic jaws. They slip on the metal here. See, that's all I need. I could get in there. I could get in there with my plumber's pliers and just get a rag in between. But he's right. I mean, if you want to have every single tool for every single job, you definitely need a pair of those. They do come in handy for stuff, I will admit. But for this, I noticed that they slip on this kind of metal. And slipping is no good either. Let's get this fore end out. So I'm going to show you about a tool that's good for this kind of thing. These dentistry tools come in so handy. And this one, you got to have one like this for messing with these gaskets, because you don't want to poke them or rip them with anything. And that ball on there, even if you rub a little oil on your fingers and you oil that little ball that's on there before you mess with rubber stuff, you could pry up rubber stuff without damaging it. So in here, here's our O-ring. Whoops, bumping the camera. See how this can get, it's hard to work on the camera, but this can get right in there, see? You can get right in there to get that up without having to pry with something that's gonna, rip it. This definitely comes out easier than the square one does, just because the fact that it's round and it pulls through. Ideally, a round gasket is not made for an application like this. It is true. The round ones are more made to fit on a tube that has a recess in the tube so it gets located. And then on whatever goes over it, it fits inside something that's like a ring also. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what these are made for. Like if you look inside like a steel braided line that has one of these will be on like the male part. And when it fits inside the female part, there'll be a ring around inside the female part that the gasket slips right into. That's kind of like what the round O-rings. It's kind of like the application that they use. This definitely is set up to be made for that. So let's check his out. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Let's really get a good look. So yeah, it's the same dimensions. If you watch the video on the round one, that it has to be a little bit wider than this, right? It wouldn't sit flat with the metal. It has to stick up a little bit. Plus here, it would have to stick out a little bit, and it does. It's a little bit wider than the circle there. And it does fit nicely. It does fit in here nicely. The problem would come in with, this is the original ring. So with the original ring, so now he says that this gasket is not for the original ring, because the original ring would be a little bit smaller. And sure enough, that's what you want to avoid, because that's the look. If you take a look at this picture here, that's the look that the gasket gets from the gas pushing by it. Because remember where we were at when this sits in here. If this sat in here like that, it's the upper part that's unsupported, right? So that's where the gas would shove this up, and this is too small. If this was tighter, if it fit on here better, see how it's all warp, warp, this doesn't fit. He admits that. He actually says to me here, he wrote me an email, he writes, The old ring and the newer ring match close in size, but if measured with calipers, you'll find the old metal ring slightly smaller where the washer fits. The washers I currently offer would be loose fitting. He's working on one for this ring, but I'm going to tell you, to be honest with you, more important than the washer, this washer definitely, I can tell just by looking, it fits in here and it is not pushing up. It is not doing that here. It fits in here perfectly. I think more important than the washer at this point now, because this washer works. My suggestion would be forget about the O-ring. This is going to work. I haven't shot it yet. I'm doing this pre-shooting the gun, but I'm telling you this is going to work mint, and this is going to last a whole lot longer. I can tell just by looking at how it fits in there. It is a perfect replacement, and more important than the gasket though, if you have one of these, that's why your gasket's failing. Get rid of this. Get one of these. Just find it on eBay. I'll link to, there's a guy selling these too. I bought this on eBay. Get one of these, get Terry's gasket, you'll be good to go. Let's measure them. Let's see if what he's saying is true, even though I do know that it's true. So we're measuring this ring. If I put them next to each other, I even saw there's definitely a difference. So the old ring, the original ring, here's where, can we read that? Why is this else? There it is. 1.078.5. 1.088. Why can't I read that? 1.089. One more time. 1.07877. Yep. It's like what is that, 100th of an inch? This ring, get rid of it. Don't ever use that. Let's use this. Now getting this in here is going to be a little bit tougher too, I would assume, because I know getting these square one in takes a little bit of acrobatics. Let's see, let's zoom back out. All right. What we got to do now, we'll start here. Finger actually works good here. Nice. Very nice. I could see how if it was in the regular ring, it would even be trying to bulge up over here. It's funny how it's so prone to doing that. It just wants to do that. But this metal here should be holding that back from happening now. The fact that there's this metal here on the top. Otherwise, yeah, I can only imagine if it's a ring. Look at that. That would definitely be blown out right there. Makes no sense how they would even leave it like that. This looks good. Let's, good way to seat it. Let's take the barrel in here. Good shots there. Ooh, that feels like it's sealed really nice. Let's take a look. That looks good. That looks good. We'll button it up like that. And we're going to give it a shot. That definitely seems like the way to go. Just want to show you some interesting stuff here before we get out to the range. I head to the range right now. I'm hoping to get some good footage. Expecting it to be really crowded today. So again, if we let's take a look at some interesting stuff here from the Model 58 in the Encyclopedia of Modern Firearms. Interesting stuff with this gun. This is the barrel assembly, the holes, the reliefs, for the gas ports, the sizes of them for what gauge. This is the magazine cap assembly and how that's arranged. So you can imagine that. Look at how exacting they're being with the amount of gas that's operating this gun, right? They're being pretty specific to the hundredths of an inch with different gauges. It's how large these holes are, the relief holes and the gas holes. So you can imagine that it certainly matters to be accurate to the hundredth of an inch and how big that gasket needs to be so it doesn't leak anything. And it lists down here the foreign components. And what's interesting is even way back then, the fore-end ring washer. So here's the actual terminology, the proper names for these things is the fore-end ring washer, and the fore-end ring over here. It shows a picture of these even going together. And look right here. Check that out. What does it show right here? It shows our revised part, right? So who knows how quick. I mean, this is pretty old. This might be a mid. Actually, no, this is 60s. This book, I'm pretty sure this is revised from the 60s. But I'd love to see what revision actually had the picture of this. I want to know when that changeover happened. I'm going to find that out. Making certain that the circular channel cut positions outermost in the fore-end to receive the fore-end washer properly. Very important to get that in there properly. And the price of them, the fore-end ring was 35 cents and the washer was 20 cents. 20 cents a washer. You're never going to beat that price. So listen, my advice, I'm telling you right now, seeing how this square one fits in there. I threw some O-ring stuff on you. It wouldn't be a bad idea just to have a few of those in the shooting bag just in case. But look at this guy. Seems to fit in there nice. Let's see what happens. It might seat a little bit better. I don't know why. It still seems like it's bulging up a little bit right here. See if I push it, that gap right there. This is the gap that's bad. That's where the gas wants to push through. Thinking when it's pushed closed and the cap is on, it's pushing it down. And that's going to seal that right in there. It's just predisposed to not fitting in this channel. And I keep thinking maybe if I push it back a little bit. It's in there all the way. It's definitely in there all the way. Yeah, it's in there all the way around. It's definitely filling that gap, protruding past there a little bit. Perfect. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, doesn't matter if it's a little misshaped like that, as long as this part doesn't rise up somehow out of there. And how's it going to do that if it's held in there by this metal? It's impossible. You see how predisposed it is to bulge here. And with this here, this is probably going to stop it from happening once it's all buttoned up. And I'd expect the square one like that to last longer. Let's see what happens. Here we are out at the range with Jamie the Puller. Beautiful day out here. Totally dead. They were talking about crazy thunderstorms, but while it did rain, there was a long period of just overcast weather with no rain. But it made everybody stay home, which was perfect. And I love that overcast, slightly breezy days for shoot and trap. And I'll tell you, I love this model 58, the Sportsman 58. You know, that Sportsman name comes from a shotgun. Remington would use that with shotguns that held two in the tube and one in the chamber, which was, I guess, I mean, I'm not a big hunter, but that's like the legal, that's the highest amount of rounds you'd be able to have in a shotgun. Like it had to be either magazine crimped or wooden dowels inside the magazine. They had to like be physically limited to just 3 shots for hunting. So you couldn't go out with a shotgun that, even if you just had 3 rounds in it, if it was capable of holding 4 or 5, it was no good. So the fact that the Sportsman 58 was using the magazine tube as the chamber for being able to use the gas operation, that made it perfect for hunting. It just automatically made it legal without. You used to have to dimple the magazines tubes, so you'd only be able to be able to get a certain amount of rounds in it. I think that might have even started with the 1148. They had a version like that they called the Sportsman 48. So I guess we have John Vassos to thank for this design. I love this shotgun, just the way it looks, and we have John Vassos, I guess the guy was like an industrial designer, I guess is what you would call his title. And this guy just kind of like designed equipment. There's an interesting history just even looking into this guy. He designed like the way radios looked for RCA. He designed everything from turnstiles to, I mean, just crazy. He had stuff, like at the World's Fair, the '39 World's Fair. And this guy was like a decorated veteran of World War II, you know? I think he was let me see, I had some information. He was chief of the OSS spy school in Cairo, Egypt from 42 to 45, responsible for training agents sent to Greece, the Balkans, and Italy. That sounds like some crazy World War II stuff going on there as well. So the guy has got an interesting history on his own. Just to little rabbit hole you could go down to look into him. But he designed the way this thing looks, and man, they've the 870, the 1100. Like Remington just grabbed that look and just kept it for forever. I mean, that just became the look of a Remington shotgun. And man, something about this one, I love shooting this thing. Here we have a game where I missed one clay. I got a 24 here, and that's it. This gun will always be known to me now as the Score 24 gun. I really wanted to cap off this series here with testing these washers with a 25, but man, when you miss that one, there isn't even any explanation for it. It's not like I even felt like I missed. It really wasn't much different from any of the others, but except it just didn't break. Sometimes you wonder what's going on with that. Did it get caught in a weird breeze? Did they forget to put pellets inside that one shell? I mean, who knows? There's no explanation. Let's get inside and see what's going on inside the gun. All right, we're back in the Milsurp garage. So let's take a look inside this thing here. I loosened the cap a little bit. I also cut my finger today, so I can't really grab it as tight as I need to grab it. So once again, we're back to the tool. I don't want to open up the cut on my finger. There we go. Alrighty, let's take a look what we got here. Yeah, pretty nice performance there with the 24, right? Oh, before we look, let's take a look. Let's see how the flat washer did. We have to officially give the Sportsman 58 officially gets the Score 24 award, the Milsurp Garage Score 24 award. We've already given out the Unbroken Clay award. We're giving the Score 24 award to the shotgun that scored a 24. We have this debris that we saw before, even on the round washer. This is like seems to be par for the course when you're with this type of chamber. Seems to make that kind of crusty stuff going on in there. You kind of tell like how much blow by you're getting by looking in here, because if anything passes by the gasket, it's going to be in here on the wood. You can kind of see that it does get, it gets a little shaded, a little dark here, like it can't seal perfectly. Well, that could have been from the broken gasket for all that time, but so you does just still want to push up here. You can see where it's wanting to push up, but with this part here, with this, it's not able to do that. Looks like long term these would hold up okay just because of that reason, because of the way that pushes out. But let's see, I see a nice mark along here where it's sealed. And I don't see where there would be any signs of failure along here, as long as you have this piece on here holding it in. Seems like it would be all right. So the question is it the flat washer or the round washer? They both worked. I would think, my opinion would be, Remington put a flat washer. I think there is something to the fact that the dynamics would be different for the round washer over the square washer. It works, but it probably has a better chance of letting gas through with the round washer, because it's just not really made for that type of purpose. It's not really made to fill that kind of gap in there. The fact that the channel inside of this ring is square like that would mean this one would drop down on there, fit in there perfectly. I think Terry's gasket here, honestly, is really the way to go. I would get one through him, especially because with $15 and no shipping, it's like, shipping these days, everyone wants to even charge you $5 for shipping something to you. So, I mean, what are you really paying, $10 for it? That would think that a gasket like this would last for years, you know what I mean? And fitment seems okay. Just does seem like it always wants to push up in this area, doesn't it? It's the only thing that I saw was that the round gasket just didn't really do that, only because it seems like it fit a little tighter around this ring. And I think maybe it might even be some variations in the size of this thing. It might be really hard for Terry as an eBay seller to get the exact fit for a gasket like this, only because there's so many different variations. It is in there pretty tight though. I can't even push it out. It's nice. This does fit in there nice and tight. Yeah, I think the flat washer is the way to go, to be honest with you. Just because it is what Remington wanted to put in there. That would be my opinion. I say go with the flat washer. Well, more important than anything else, don't use this original ring. That's more important than anything else. More important than anything else is get yourself one of these. Get yourself one of these rings if you have this one. And I think this might have only been around for a year or two. I think most of you out there are looking at this going like, mine doesn't look like that. I got the one that you got. Good. Get the one that I got. And if your gasket is all dried out, get this one from Terry. And it looks like you'll be good to go for a long time. Gun shot really well today, and this looks like it was really buttoned up nice. Thanks for tuning in with this series. It's been interesting. I love this 58. And we'll see what we got coming up around the bend. See y'all later.